Yeah.
It's quite good at refactoring.
Yeah.
Plan mode, that's exactly
Love
what
that.
is. I mean, I don't let it loose until it tells me what it's gonna do. So literally Claude has a plan mode where you can say, okay, this is a feature I'm gonna build out, and then you can iteratively talk to it in plain English. And it can just keep revising and revising and then come up with a plan and say, this is the thing I wanna do. And then you can say, yep, do it.
Yeah, and I have an example of that where it's got an 8-phase plan, and I'm on phase 2 right now. Like I started this morning, but and getting the plan done would have taken a couple days, and I'm already in a phase 2.
And the tools are also fairly good at refactoring. So I mean, just like the steps you go through if you were writing code and you write code, and it's there and it's functional, and now you go through and make it like more performant or whatever. Like that, you can have the AI work through those same steps and just does it faster without you spending hours and hours on that step.
Yeah, and back to PRs, I'm not doing any of the work there. I just copy paste the comments and it fixes it and takes care of it.
Can you wrap it up in about 5 minutes?
Oh yeah.
More questions and let you get to that, right?
All right, yeah, I don't have too much more luckily, so probably 2 left. All right, one last really quick example that I thought was kind of interesting. So a new feature I'm trying to create, and I get to a certain point where I just could not get it to work. It was crashing the server. Basically, the whole thing was just crashing down. I couldn't figure it out. And so finally, and habits are hard to change sometimes. It's like I kind of forgot that we were introducing Claude and trying to use that more. So I'm in my normal state of mind, problem solving. I probably exhaust a couple hours. Remember that I could use this. I tell it what the situation was, and it processes for, I think, 15, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. It kept going for a while. And then finally, it comes to a certain area of code and says, okay, here's your problem, and explain what the situation was and how to fix it. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. That's really old code. How did a bug stay in here for so long? And so I'm studying that and looking at it, and so I thought, well, and I, again, still new to this, so I thought, can it tell me who changed it, when it changed, all that kind of stuff? So I asked, all right, well, who changed this code? It was not me that changed it, by the way. But who changed this code and when and why? And so it started looking through the Git repository. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know it could do that. So and it starts going back and look at commits. And then finally it gets back to 2016. And then it says, okay, it didn't use these words, but I swear this was its tone. You dumbass wrote this code originally 10 years ago, almost to the day. And so, yeah, how remarkable is that? So I'm like, okay, that's wild. And then I just dug a little deeper and I saw a few months after that code was added, somebody else must have discovered the bug. They band-aided it somewhere over here. So it kind of protected the whole system from this bug throughout the whole thing until I added this new feature, which was over here, and then re-exposed it. And so that other developer, which is probably one of the top 5 people I've worked with, did not figure out how to solve it. Clearly, I wrote the code wrong originally, couldn't figure it out in a couple hours, but Claude Code let's say within 30 minutes, found that code in the problem and fixed it. And then also discovered his issue and fixed that too. So clean up the whole thing, which I thought was just insane that 10-year-old code was fixed like that. So that's my last, and this is just, I mean, there's so many examples of just mind-blowing.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
yeah.
Particularly with Claude.
Right, and I'm part-time for me, because this is all my stuff, well, except for the first one, but for me, it's all part-time stuff, right? Just kind of playing around, so. All right, but then on the flip side, so a lot of this has already been talked about to some degree, but some of the risks and the counterpoints to some of this is, and back to the review everything and how absolutely critical that is. I think we've kind of hit that one heavy enough. And obviously things gotta be tested, but that's always been the case. But then the other part is now what we're discovering is back to the bottleneck side. Because before, writing code was our big effort, and then reviews and quality checks and customer tests and all that kind of stuff was just another part of the cycle. Now those are the things that are holding us up. So like we got code kind of stashed up and ready to go, but we can't get it out fast enough. So now it's like, okay, how do we rethink the whole business model, whole development cycle, and business model, to some degree as well, knowing this all in the last month. I mean, it's just mind.
Do you see any solutions to that yet?
Yeah, well, in some from this particular meeting here, so which has been awesome, but.
There's a lot of solutions to it. And you talked about test-driven development. That's probably the biggest one. But as with traditional software development, everybody decides to worry about quality at the end. So like in your example, it'll remain to be a bottleneck until you can catch up your automated testing testing and avoid testing, I'm gonna pause to call it drift, but it's AI does a really good job of writing automated testing and then passing it with a workaround rather than actually testing it, right? Because it's just looking for the shortest path to the success metric. So your quality ratchets that are built into all of your different markdown files and your different skills and all of that stuff needs to be quite specific. What we've done is before you start on any features, like you go and you grab the base, you grab your work tree or your branch, it runs. So we work in web apps right now. We do a Flutter analyze and Flutter test, and that's going to give us our 2,000 plus automated tests. It's going to say this is how many passed. That's your baseline. And then when you commit and you're ready to actually say, okay, I'm done, you have to have more passes than you did when you started. So you have to create the automated testing as you're going. That's part of your Gherkin style user stories. So every user story that we have that's written is written by Claude, follows a specific format. You need 8 acceptance criteria and you need 8 automated test cases. Any test cases that must be manually tested, like end-to-end or multi-device testing, has to output a CSV that can be imported into, we use Testany, imported into your test management tool of choice. So now you're creating your suite of automated and manual test cases and performance testing and load testing as you're writing the tool, as you're using Claude to develop, rather than what you're doing now retroactively going back and saying, quality is a bottleneck, how do I fix it? Right? You were doing it the entire time. It's really the same way that software development's always been, or should have been, right? It's just the thing that gets dropped first all the time. But now, you're no longer pushing code, you're orchestrating. Whether it's 1 agent, 2 agents, 3 agents, a team of agents, you haven't defined that workflow and you're just implementing AI, you're eliminating technical debt on the development side, on the code side, on the line side. You're creating technical debt on the quality side, on every other side, right? Because unless you can actually go and test everything, how confident are you that you don't have fluff code in production, right?
Yeah.
So it's the shift of where the technical debt is. The goal should be to eliminate it the entire time. So using it as a force multiplier, I think is what somebody called it earlier, maybe Andrew, it's absolutely a force multiplier, but instead of thinking of it as a 25x force multiplier, scale it back as you start using as you implement into your development lifecycle and say, okay, 10x is still a hell of a lot faster than 1x, right? And we can do things the right way as we implement it. But if you guys work with clients, the problem is your clients have the same access to the same tools, right? So they're saying, well, I just did it. What are you talking about? This is super easy. And it's learning how to strategically position yourself as the expert of the guardrails and the ratchets and the life cycle. Because that's the part that your everyday person's not going to get.
Right.
And so on.
So, I mean, I think that kind of brings us back to what you're saying is like changing mindset,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
And so, I mean, I think for all of us here, wherever we're at, whatever industry we're in, there's an element of mindset here. And so your mindset's been changing in just the last few weeks around what you've been
Yes.
showing today, and it's amazing progress in just that short period of time. I think that's been my experience with various tools. So what else do you have to share?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Great. All right, thank you,